Yo, welcome to another episode of the BJJ Goons podcast. I'm Tim, Mushmaster Spriggs, and with me as always every week is...
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's No New Nico Ball. Glad to be back for another episode. Tim over here lit. Like, he real lit. He having a good Sunday morning.
I'm having an excellent Sunday morning. It is so good to be back for another episode of the podcast. Last week, we talked a little bit about the cult of personality. It was kind of heavy. And today, I want to be a little bit more lighthearted, Nico. What about you?
Did you look at that whole line? Was it more lighthearted? But yeah, whatever. We can be a little bit
I try. Say fucked up stuff with a smile.
You know, I have a friend that likes to do that. You know, he is always talking about the craziest stuff, especially in respects to communism and the Cuban Revolution. He's like, yeah, duh. I was like, yo, that sounds horrible. Like, why are you smiling so much while talking about it? Like, you must really believe in the cause.
Yes, fighting for the proletariat just puts a smile on his face. Mm-hmm. Fighting the good fight. Well, Nico.
So we're going to skip over all that negative stuff or random things that I was just trying to look up, and we're just going to dive into the new outline. Is that what you're saying?
No, we're going to do whatever you want, Nico. Today is your day. We're going to do whatever it is. I'm not going to mansplain the podcast to you.
Oh. All right. So real quick, I guess, what the hell do you mean about saving face? Like, is there anything that you want to mention to the people about saving face? Because I was trying to look at it, and I have no idea who Brent is.
All right. Saving face, I saw a post by Mike Flo, and I think it was by him. It was a picture with him and Felipe Pena. I know I'm not tripping. I saw this. And just, I guess, doing damage control, trying to save face, because a lot of people, from what I saw in the comments, I very rarely ever go through comments for shit anymore. But I looked at the picture because it was intriguing. I looked at the comments on a lot of the posts related to the Felipe Pena flow grappling situation. It was a lot of negative comments, many of them in Portuguese, but a lot of people who did not like how that situation was handled. And I think people would have gotten a lot of flack in other sports if this happened. Maybe not, but I'd say that a lot of people were turned off by how the whole thing went down. And I think nowadays, treating athletes like cattle is frowned upon.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have trouble accepting that. We kind of saw it with Simone Biles and things like that.
Excellent example.
Erin Hurley was posting a lot of great things to her story. She actually said, for some reason, Gordon Ryan, came out attacking her. I think he was tagging her in posts. You were the one that told me about that.
Yeah.
And she actually had some really insightful things to say about it. And I was like, yo, you need to, turn that into, a whole article. And she was just like, I just don't have the mental bandwidth to
She's
to
in
do it
graduate
right now.
school.
Is she?
Yes, she's studying to be a
new.
sports psychologist.
Really?
Yes, shout out to Erin Hurley.
Yeah.
Get that degree, homie. They're trying to save face in the situation, which is their job. I've said it a million times, but flow is not a journalistic endeavor. It is a business. They are in the entertainment business. They are the TMZ of jiu-jitsu, and they are kind of like the Netflix of jiu-jitsu, where they keep all the big-time matches for themselves on their streaming platform.
Yeah, I mean, you got to understand and be able to separate the two for themselves. I was just looking at Erin's conversation, and I'll read one little thing that she said, because I think it kind of relates to what you're saying. You said, the problem isn't Gordon himself. He's great at jiu-jitsu. It's the jiu-jitsu community praising humans for their athletic abilities and failing to separate the two. So when you talk about flow grappling, I think it's the same thing. They have the contracts to all the major competitions. Flow grappling is a great streaming service. But Tim's had arguments about this with them. They've said it themselves, that we are not in here for journalism. They're in there for media. They're creating content. As you can see, as they just made a reality TV show. So I think you need to be able to separate the two different aspects of you can get all of the jiu-jitsu tournaments in streaming, and that's where you can watch your fights. But I don't read articles on flow grappling. I don't consume a lot of their content. I'm out there looking more for community content, and people need to learn to separate those two things.
They're kind of our rivals if you think about it. They have podcasts on their platform and on YouTube, so we are in direct competition with them. They're the ops.
I mean, all they ever talk about, though, is competitions. And especially now that they have their own competition, it's very centered on their competition. So it's like, and like you said, like all of these gyms going to Austin and like being around them, like the B team is right there. They're always hanging out like in those areas where content it's a little bit easier to grab because those athletes are like gravitating towards being closer to them. And that's not necessarily like a good representation of the sport as a whole.
Not at all, but it's not their prerogative. And we are not their target market. We as in us, the Goon Squad. And it's okay.
And we are going to be starting the Church of the Goons. I don't know. We're coming
the
up
Goon
with
Life
names now.
Goon Life Ministries.
Goon Life Ministry. That's a perfect name, actually. Goon Life Ministry. So we're going to be starting that up soon. So feel free like to donate.
I'm not bullshitting. I'm actually, in my mind, the wheels are turning. I think we should be a church.
Hallelujah.
Come up with the 10 Commandments as a group.
Rise above.
Yes, rise above. If you are interested in joining Goon Life Ministries, please send us an email at bjjgoonsbusiness@gmail.com. It's bjjgoonsbusiness@gmail.com. Send us ideas for the 10 Commandments. What do you want the charters of our church to be?
It's going to be a great business endeavor. It's going to be a fantastic endeavor.
The other part about saving face in our outline that I wanted to talk about was how I'm going to have this lengthy interview for a wrestling promotion that I wrestle for, MCW Pro Wrestling. I'm going to have a lengthy interview with my good friend Timmy Baltimore, a.k.a. Brett Taring, and he did some research on me and about my martial arts background. Because in the pro wrestling world, I am recognized as a shooter. I'm the rookie of the year in the business.
You have to explain to the people what a shooter is.
A shooter is, in wrestling terms, a legitimate martial artist or fighter or ass kicker. Someone that has actually beat the hell out of people. And that's what I am in real life. I'm pro wrestling's first and only Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt world champion. Whoop, whoop. Anyway, he was curious as to what the jiu-jitsu world was like because he looked at the discourse about me throughout my career and he asked me, Tim, is jiu-jitsu as much of a cesspool as pro wrestling?
Cesspool was the literal word he used.
Toxic cesspool, yeah. Toxic cesspool. And to that I replied, no, it's worse than wrestling because at the top of wrestling, you get paid millions of dollars and you get to perform and go home. In jiu-jitsu, you are inundated with bullshit opinions, horrible people. I mean, there's really cool people, but the apparatus is very not for people of my culture, to say the least. And I'm forced to interact with these people because if you are of a certain level, you're forced to interact to make a living, or it's just a part of it and you have to. There's no separation between the fans and the competitors or the stars or what have you, or even just the athletes. And it got me thinking about how it's very disappointing when I talk to people or when people try to look into me or look into the sport or the big names, and a lot of it is just drama. If you go to the jiu-jitsu Reddit, it's like worse than wrestling Reddit.
I cannot do Reddit.
I can't, but it's so negative. Maybe it's just because I'm in it, but it's just it's a whole lot. I think the racism is a whole lot worse than in wrestling. I think that the colluding between certain stars and the major media outlets is very negative, and it negatively affects the whole sport because it's so small. I think that as athletes or even coaches or practitioners, the business is not thriving. Professional wrestling is a thriving business. Jiu-jitsu isn't. So there's no real way for you to kind of make it. There are ways, but it's very difficult. And that's the comparison that I kind of made to him. It's like, as a sport, it's hard for us to save face. It's hard for us to expand with so many damn issues. As if you think about it, when people want to get into anything, there are gatekeepers, for better or for worse. I mean, there's good sides and bad sides of certain type of gatekeepers, but what are the gatekeepers? What are the tastemakers saying in this sport? And if you look at how this related, it's very bad. It's very bad. Like, if I was outside of jiu-jitsu, I'd be glad that there were people like Adisa, people like the BJJ Goons podcast that did it for me, made a way for me. Because, man, if you go to these other spots, if you hear about the shit, like the best grappler got killed and murked, but nobody wants to say anything about it. I don't know. I'm not on there, but I keep on hearing shit like Mixed Martial Artish made a fake post. I don't even want to know, but instead of talking about the story, the biggest media companies, they don't talk about it. Or maybe it's just because jiu-jitsu blogs don't make any money.
Yeah, I mean, because, like, what are the jiu-jitsu media companies that we have? It's like Flow Grappling, Jiu-Jitsu Times, Gracie Mag, Favela Jiu-Jitsu.
There's still Gracie Mag?
Yeah, there's still Gracie Mag. They still come out with techniques and
holy
like
moly. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I look into it because for the Portuguese for Jiu-Jitsu, so trying to find like techniques that are taught in Portuguese, they have like actual digital magazine, like you have to pay for a paid subscription. So they're still going hard with like that old school traditional style vibe. So that just goes to show you like the lack of change in the industry. You used to have Budo videos, they went out.
That's a damn shame.
What else was there other than that? So it's like really the importance of like investing and having like a platform to tell a story and then have people invest in it. Like Flow Grappling has been so successful because they're backed by Flow Sports. Like I remember when Hal first got that job and he said that he had like a $10,000 travel budget, and that's what he had to like decide what major worldwide competitions that he would be able to afford to fly to, and like they blew that shit out of the water. But like Favela Jiu-Jitsu don't have a $10,000 traveling budget, and if I want to blow that shit out of the water, go to ADCC and like Europeans and this and that, like I can't afford to do that. And like I've heard from other journalists like Gracie Mag be like not paying people for pictures. They try to just be like, yeah, I'll give you photo credit. So they're kind of just trying to like helm people for what they need to survive as in a business, just the way we were talking about what academy owners do, like news companies do that kind of stuff as well. So it's kind of like hard. Like you see people, I found out a lot from Leandra Lowe. First of all, like people are complaining because like a lot of people are just posting like highlight videos and not addressing the actual issue of like a cop being killed and what's going to happen in this process. And it's Marcio Andre's brother-in-law, Mario Victor Freitas. He is like independent journalist, so he's been posting a lot of stuff, albeit he posts it in Portuguese, but like he posts when like this is like when you say we don't come out on like mainstream media, like Leandra Lowe came out all over like Brazilian news. It took a while. Like that morning I was looking for it and I couldn't find it, but then finally it started coming out. Like it was covered, like people were sending me like lives from people that were posting like actual news about what's happening with this person, and they're saying it's going to take like 20, 30 years to process him.
What? Whoa, 20 to 30 years?
Yeah. 20 to 30 years to process him. And the only way you can find this out, like nobody's saying it in English. First of all, like Flow Grappling, like when we talk about Flow Grappling not being journalists, like yeah, they're not going to tell you that. Like I know because Victor Freitas posted it and I can read Portuguese, and yeah.
What is the point? I know the point, but
it's basically because he's in military court, so they're like kind of bouncing him around. And like the question is, he was already tried and convicted on July 20th, like 10, 15 days before he killed Leandra Lowe. So it's like, will he be behind bars this whole 20, 30 years, or are they about to let him out so that he can like, while he waits for this process? It says, processo para demissão de PM que matou lutador por durar 20 anos, 30 years, or 20 years. Because first he's got to go through like the criminal advice court, so he's got to go through different courts and each one, and then, you know, they're gonna try to slow it down. So it's an interesting thing, and like people forget about this, and like that's the thing, like yo, you don't even need to wait a year. Like in 5 months, people are gonna be more concerned about like their world's training camps than they are for this.
I still can't believe he's gone, man. I can't even watch his matches. Oh man, what else you want to talk about? We were supposed to be a little bit lighter hearted.
I told you, yeah. No, we weren't. We were getting more into. There was a news article that I forgot to stick in the outline, but we're talking about like the important thing if you want to create change is understanding like who got the power, who got the money. So we do a lot of complaining about our local organizations, but I was looking up some fighters that were transitioning to one. So One Championship is one of Asia's biggest fighting promotions, and they do MMA. Do they do like Muay Thai shit?
One FC does Muay Thai. They do MMA. Now they do grappling. I think they do regular kickboxing rules.
They do a lot. They're trying to create a platform for a lot of the world's biggest martial arts. So they are going to be hosting their first grappling submission tournament. That is going to be September 30th. And it's going to be starring Mikey Musumeci versus Kleber Sosa, which will be their third match together. They'll be trying to handle this 1-1. They've gone 1-1 with each other. So this will be the third time they fought. And it would just be interesting to see. It's like another major organization that clearly has the money. They have the skills to put on high-level performances, and they're really looking for like athletes that can put on a show outside of the U.S. and these politics of like everything that you see on Flow Grappling. This is going to be streamed on Amazon Prime if you have it, which is also interesting. So, did you know that Mikey Musumeci was fighting in this? Have you heard about it?
Yes, I heard about it. I remember talking about him going to ONE FC to grapple and getting 50 bands for one match. It was a pretty easy match for him, too.
That was an MMA match or a grappling match?
Grappling match. He got paid to do a grappling match. He had really cool gear on, too. This is
their first submission grappling tournament that's coming up. So.
Tournament, yes, but not matches. They've had matches. I think Gary Tonin had a match, too. Because ONE FC, they'll let you do grappling, MMA, kickboxing. Shout out to DJ Jackson. He trains with this guy. Who does he train with? I'm totally blanking on his name. Oh my gosh. Iron Man. They call him Iron Man in Muay Thai. That's his nickname. And he's really good. And he does MMA. Demetrius Johnson just had a fight with an MMA fighter. I gotta look up his name. But go ahead, keep talking.
Yeah, but it's like, I think it's really dope because I was reading articles, like the promoter of the event, he's like really concerned about the rule set and this and that. I said he was reaching out to like John Danaher, asking for advice on the rules and, just really trying to create an awesome platform for athletes. Rod Tang.
He just had a fight with Demetrius Johnson. So he does MMA now because he did a hybrid rules fight. One round was MMA, one round was Muay Thai for 5 rounds. Like they alternate every round. That's what they do at ONE FC. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
But yeah, the opportunity to win 50 stacks. 50 stacks. Like, I fuck with it.
I fucks with it too. And I think it's good that there's different promotions. And it's going to force the promotions to compete to get the best competitors. The market dictates what you get paid. If there's a wider market with different promotions with a lot of money to blow, it's going to benefit the athletes. Maybe these guys will be able to get contracts where it's guaranteed money or fights per year. So then it's a pathway for people to be able to do the sport that we love and get paid. Do you know some of the other names that are involved? Like other fighters that have been signed besides Mikey?
Yes, they have the Rotulo brothers. Now
Good
I can't pronounce anything.
Rotolo
brothers. Gordon Ryan, of course, got to be up in everything. Rafael Canuto is making his debut on August 26th. So maybe right before this episode airs, who knows? Danielle Kelly, who's a really exciting female competitor to watch, and OG Michelle Nicolini.
And she fought MMA before too.
Yeah, I love her. So it's interesting to see like the roster of people that are going over there. It's dope to think it's like, oh yeah, they'll run into DJ. It's like I need to go to a one competition now that I think about it.
I need to go to Thailand for a month. That's my goal. One of my goals.
Yeah, how are you going to fit that in with wrestling?
I don't know. I'm giving myself I have like a 9 to 18 month plan to be the top guy in the world, 9 to 18 months. And maybe by then I'll be the top guy. But man, if I'm not busy, I'm going to make it a point to go. Why not? I'm obsessed with kickboxing now because I made that promise to myself a few weeks ago on the podcast about doing more martial arts training, and I have. I strained my pec the other week, so I had to take a couple weeks off. But I'm back in action. I'm back training, and I love it. I want to fight WKAs.
WK.
Maybe if my life is in order, because I got a lot of shit going on. But once I get together, I want to do it. Maybe I'll be one FC Muay Thai fighter. Maybe I'll win like a Muay Thai title in 1FC.
You should go to IKF actually. Like better run organizations still have kickboxing, and actually
Muay Thai. IKF.
Yeah. Like WKA, it's like run down in Richmond by like, I think it's Crenshaw. He's like a real douchebag.
So I should go to IKF.
IKF.
IKFA.
It's just IKF, International Kickboxing Federation.
Are they the ones that like if you win a title through them, they're legit, or is it like WBC?
Yeah, they have a belt. Like I have a belt from them, although it's at my old gym, hanging up on the wall, so I don't actually.
For real?
Of it. Yeah.
I need to know the international governing body for Muay Thai.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, we're on a tangent. Go for it.
No, it'd be good. It'd be interesting. Muhammad, blah, 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 blah. Muhammad just had his first boxing fight like last weekend in Virginia. And it was funny because I need these techniques in Portuguese for this Portuguese for Jiu-Jitsu course, which if you need a vocabulary guide, you can go to PortugueseForBJJ.com. So I'm hitting up a bunch of actual Brazilians. I like do the classes too. It's kind of easier to understand my accent because, you know, English, but then I need all these native speakers. So I was hitting Muhammad up to see if he could do some techniques for me. He's like, "No, I'm fighting this weekend." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Like, let me not ask you now." But I was like, "Where are you fighting?" And he's like, "No clue." I was like, Jesus Christ, Muhammad. So you just gonna like, you know, show up at like whenever you gotta fight, and then you just show up, put in work. He's like, "Yeah, basically." It's like I forget how young Muhammad is.
He's like, mad young, but he's mad old. He's an old soul.
Like, what if I wanted to come see it? I was like, you know, I'm just gonna leave that one there. Like next time, I'll ask Master Lloyd or some shit like that.
He's knocking fools out with them hands, man. When he gets real good at striking, he's gonna be unbeatable at heavyweight. There's the heavyweight champion right now is it still Ngannou? Ngannou's still the champion. I think he beats Ngannou. Muhammad he could finish Ngannou in like 3 years. Francis Ngannou. 3 years, I got him. I got it. 3 years. I called it now. In 3 years, Muhammad could beat Ngannou.
He's a savage. But yeah, I did want to talk about the UFC. I did not watch the UFC last night. It will not be last night.
Well, the time this airs,
it's gonna be like last week. So last week's UFC,
2 weeks ago.
I woke up just to.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Because it will come out on Monday. Yeah, whatever. I'm not good with numbers, y'all, but you know.
So you watched clips. I
just woke up to finding out. Somebody was like, "Yo, you know, Usman got knocked out." I was like, what? How is that a way to wake up? Like, that should not. Good morning. We're having a good morning. But yeah, so now Leonel Edwards from Jamaica has claimed the welterweight title after a 5th round head kick to Usman. Spoiler alert. I guess I should have put that beforehand.
I love the setup for the head kick because that feint with the right hand, well, he's southpaw, so the left hand was beautiful because he could tell, like, whenever he threw it, Usman would duck his head, but he would leave his guard down when he would dip his head. Made him super susceptible to that head kick. Good technique too, like the hip turn, like you know striking.
Yeah,
the hip turn.
This is what made Tim want to do kickboxing. It's like Muay Thai.
But I did striking before. I did karate. We should do background video of me doing katas and shit.
Oh,
but
okay, yeah.
Went over, perfectly placed kick right on the jaw, not dead. With 1 minute left in the fight, like he was losing. Coach Jamal, he put up, I guess Muay Thai can beat Jiu-Jitsu, which I agree.
Oh,
I agree. You're going to say I'm a traitor? I totally agree. And after training with Jamal, I believe it. If you have good striking and you're good at distance, no one can fucking touch you. Like,
I mean, but if you're good at takedowns and your entrances,
Nico,
if you're well-rounded grappler, maybe. But it's called mixed martial arts for a reason.
If you got good striking, you could beat a grappler pretty easily. If you're a Muay Thai person that understands wrestling, you kill a jiu-jitsu guy. That's my take.
I do miss doing stand-up, though. I definitely miss it.
What are you doing? You could go train. Tafan teaches class. You should go.
I have no car, Timothy Spriggs.
That's going to be an issue.
It is an issue. I'm trying to, and Malachi, I was trying to go to the gym and chill with him today, and, he ain't answering my messages, so I'm just going to call you out on the whole podcast. But I will find you. I will track you down, and I will get what I need filmed. But... So I woke up to 2 nasty things about the UFC. One other sick fuck, Rockhold. He's a sick, dirty fuck that should be fired from the UFC immediately for smearing blood all over his opponent. Why would you do something like that? It's what were you doing during the whole pandemic? Have you seen a psychologist? Do you need to be medicated? Somebody please slap him. And ew, monkeypox were all things that I thought about when I saw that meme, because yo, they're already making it when I eat my girl out on her period. And it's it's not funny. Why are you See, that's why it exists. Never mind. Tips, he's just laughing. Yo, nasty. Guys, you are nasty.
You're offending all the guys that part the Red Sea. You're offending all of them. You're kink shaming right now, Nico.
I have no problem. If you're parting the Red Sea, I do have a problem if you're in an MMA fight with a broken nose, intentionally smearing your blood, your snotty nose blood all over somebody's face. That
reminds me of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. When the knight said, "What are you going to do? Bleed on me?" Go back, Nico.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go in.
It's cool because now I see you're so unbothered by this. It's oh, okay, yeah. That's just my feminine energy. Y'all guys are nasty. And I put this on the whole male, cisgendered male. I don't even know if that's the correct term, but yeah, I think I put this on all cisgendered men.
You sign up to fight, someone is going to bleed on you. Even in grappling, people bleed on you.
He was just sitting there,
but they get blood tests. You must be used to jiu-jitsu where there's no drug testing or blood testing. They let anybody come in there. You can have full-blown monkeypox and compete in jiu-jitsu.
I came from stand-up. I have seen people, I've helped people put in IVs and watch the blood spurt everywhere, but it's not he then tried to rub it on my face, intentionally. It's I've had people intentionally, take her to the ground and then fuck up their ears or their eyes or make them regret going down to the ground, but not by smearing blood in your face. It's just weird. And then Dana was saying, I was trying to find the thing. He's like, oh, it'll never happen again. But it made it sound like they had come in and woken somebody up at 6 a.m. for a blood test. And that was...
It was Costa.
Never happen again.
It was Costa. The day of weigh-ins.
Is that why he did it?
Maybe it's just because he was getting his ass beat and he just wanted to be a dick about it.
Not Costa.
I know. Costa... I would be so pissed if I'm cutting weight and you made me take blood. Although you're probably helping me make weight. You take enough blood, it'll help, I think. You still can't do that to somebody. They're making weight. Blood test them afterwards. Drug test him afterwards. It's obvious that he's on steroids. Drug test him afterwards.
Yeah, that's what Dana said. It's yo, it wouldn't have made a difference if you had done it 3 hours later. So, yeah, my bad. That'll never happen again. But I was
isn't it? It's collusion, like we were talking about with.
Fuck them up.
Collusion, man. These promotions collude with the commission, or they collude with athletes that they like, and it's all fixed.
No, yeah,
except for wrestling. Wrestling is totally real.
When I thought you wanted to talk about something that had to do with Joe Rogan, I was looking things up, and it's one fighter, they're
Demetrius Johnson
being trained to one, and how Joe Rogan's big mouth had a lot to do with that trade. And I was I didn't know UFC was trading fighters like that.
That's an older story. Back in the day, 2018, Ben Askren was traded from ONE FC to the UFC for Demetrius Johnson.
Like Brittany Griner, shit.
It wasn't like Brittany Griner. There you go again. There you go. You girls go again with the Brittany Griner shit, okay? Trying to wedge Brittany Griner in every fucking thing now. God damn, okay? I get it.
I want her to be free. Are we not trying to trade her?
It's totally different.
All right.
It's totally different.
Okay.
Come on. It's not as serious as the Brittany Griner situation.
It's definitely not as serious.
Hey, listen,
but like, oh,
I think she should be.
like...
I preface this because people are getting their feelings. I think that she should be free. I think everyone should be able to do whatever drugs that they want without going to prison. But goddamn, like, really? It's not like Brittany Griner. But the issue is collusion. And these are actual businesses. So... they're not really regulated well. I don't think MMA is regulated well. When I guess the promotions can do that because they're businesses, but why does Joe Rogan have a say? Like, he's not an expert, and I don't think Joe Rogan is an expert in fighting. I've heard him commentate. I don't think he's a fight expert. I think he's a hobbyist that has been doing this for so long that he's grandfathered in.
It's like trying to fire somebody with tenure. It's very hard.
It's like, no, I wouldn't say it's like firing John Madden, because John Madden actually did the sport and he coached it at a high level and he was a phenomenal commentator. Just Joe Rogan should not have any kind of influence over anything important. Okay. He's part of what I call the teenage edgelord Joe Rogan listener to BJJ neo-Nazi pipeline. That we have to deal with in grappling. What are you laughing at? I'm being dead ass serious.
I know you are, but
do you disagree?
No, it's just the way that you articulated each portion of that description. It was eloquent.
It's true. I want somebody to come on this show and disagree with me if you think that Joe Rogan is an expert at martial arts. I want you to come on the show. You can email us at bjjgoonsbusiness@gmail.com. And if you think you got what it takes to disagree with me and prove me wrong, let me know. But I don't think Joe Rogan should be in charge of that type of shit. I just don't. I don't think that media members should have influences on these sports. And I think that jiu-jitsu has a problem where they don't care about, the discourse is not about actual accomplishments, and we don't have real conversations between experts about what makes a great champion and what makes somebody good at jiu-jitsu and should be getting attention. And it's because of that the sport will suffer. We need more media outlets. But because it's such a niche, and I don't think it's going to grow out of that niche, it's important that these voices are heard. Otherwise, we got people, I'm not going to name names, that have never done shit in these sports, in jiu-jitsu or MMA, being tastemakers, and the actual experts are being ignored or just don't have a platform. So if you disagree with me, come on the show. If you're an expert listening to the show and you want to have a real discussion about what makes a great grappler, talk about what's going on in the sport at a competitive level, hit us up on our social medias. Hit us up at BJJ Goons.
Yeah, make sure
on
to sign
Instagram.
into that Patreon too, because
Go to
we
the
have
Patreon.
the Discord. So that's direct access. We're on there all of the time, and yeah, the town hall be popping. Them town hall meetings. That
We
we've been
just had
having
a
with these
town hall, not
conversations
town hall.
about this kind of stuff.
So yeah, hit us up there at BJJ Goons at BJJ Goons Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, or BJJ Goons on TikTok. We're going to have some cool TikToks coming up for you guys. And where can we find you, Nico?
You can find me on Instagram at no_new_Nico. That's no_new_Nico. If you already follow me, you can tell that I'm posting all of this stuff for people that are trying to learn Portuguese for jiu-jitsu. So we have, it just dropped, the new site where you can go and pick up your Portuguese for Jiu-Jitsu vocabulary guide. Once you sign up for that, like any new materials, more grammar structures and stuff like that, you'll get notifications about that. And lastly, of course, you can go to favelasjiujitsu.com for all of your BJJ community news and your official BJJ Goons merch. We got our Interim These Nut shirts. They are on sale. And then we have our beautiful Goon Greens hoodies. I believe they are on sale to the end of the summer as well.
Do you want to get better at jiu-jitsu?
No.
Do you want to?
Of course I do.
Do you want to get better at jiu-jitsu? Do you want to have a game plan so that you know what to do on the mats in practice and competition? Do you want to know what you did wrong in your matches and what you need to improve on, or what you're really great at and you need to focus more on? Well, you need to go to timspriggsbjj.com, where me, Tim Spriggs, Black Belt World Champion, #1 grappler in the world, can critique your matches, create a game plan for you, and even have a private lesson with you in person or virtually. Just go to timspriggsbjj.com to learn more. You can find me at Tim Spriggs BJJ on Instagram and on Facebook, but you can also hit me up on Twitter at Mushmaster Wins. That is for my professional wrestling career, but if you want to talk martial arts, hit me up there as well. Like Nico said, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/BJJGoons. I show you guys my match critiques on there. We do reaction videos to classic martial arts moments. We have town hall meetings with different people of the culture, in the culture. We just had Adisa Banjaku. We've had union organizers. We have really thought-provoking and informative town halls there. All that good shit can be found at BJJ Goons Patreon, patreon.com/BJJGoons. On behalf of Nico and everybody else, I'd like to say thank you, and until next time, peace.